All right, man, we're on. All right. Well, welcome to the episode 2 of the Elevated Paradise podcast. I'm your host, Elisar Edwards. And on today's special episode, we got a good one for you. But before we get into that, man, I got to shout this company coming up. Audacious Vibes is my very first sponsorship for this episode. I want to shout you out. Thank you guys for supporting the dream. The CEO is Salome Inoke. She's accompanied by her COO and childhood friend, Jenny Mahe. They're located at Anaheim, California. They've done events all throughout the West Coast, through Alaska, Utah, Nevada, California, you name it, all throughout the West Coast. They do cultural built backdrops, weddings, corporate, social events, private. It just gets live with audacious vibes. And I just want to say thank you guys for supporting the dream and supporting this episode. So, on this episode, we're going to go right into it. We're going to be talking about cultural identity and being raised in a Samoan family. We're going to talk about the responsibilities and the struggles of being the youngest of 10 siblings. We're going to talk about unconditional love, social media, the ups and downs of going viral. And then we're going to talk about motherhood at the age of 18, postpartum, and mental health. And who's going to be helping me with that? This person is not only a special guest of mine, she's also a special sibling. And that special sibling is formerly Mefi Christian Edwards, now known as Mefi Faupula. Let's get it!
What's up, bro?
Oh my gosh. Thank you for having the time. It's been it's a long time coming for this episode, right?
Yes, I'm so grateful that you even invited me to come and be a part of your episode.
Come on, now I had you on here right away because you've been moving and grooving as well. Your hustle, your consistency. I'm so proud of you, sis. We're gonna get right into it. For those of you guys who don't know, this girl in the last 3 years have been crazy on her social media platform. She's been going wild with over 425 videos I've counted, and gained over 165,000 followers all throughout your social media platforms. And I'm just saying, sis, you've grown and I've seen you blossom into something so special. That's why I just had to know what's making Mefi move. So I just want to say thank you for being on this episode. Thank you for my sister, Audacious Vibe, for sponsoring the episode. It's a trifecta of siblings right now. That's
shout
going
out
on.
to Audacious Vibe.
So shout out to y'all. Shout out to you and your family. I know it's just hard for you to come around because I like your title. It's Stay Home Mom, but she ain't never home. Okay. I love it. I love it. So let's get right into it. Trying to make moves, right? Trying to make the moves. So let's get right into it, man. Okay. Like, let's start off with your child. So you're the youngest of 10.
Yes.
And you're the last in your 20s. So all of us are all in our 30s right now. Some of us are dropping and linking into the 40s right now. So we're all kind of close in age right there. But Mefi is the last of the Mohicans, and she's the youngest in her 20s. And then she's also, out of all the zodiac signs we have, right?
Okay.
We all have our own little niches. Yours is a Cancer, girl. Where's the tissues at, man? We need tissues right here because it's gonna be an emotional one, bro. This Cancer is super cancered out. You know what I'm saying? That you definitely live on your emotions. You live by your you wear your heart on your sleeve, and I love that about you. And so we're gonna get into that, all that about your childhood, where that comes from, and then also I want to say, my moon is in Cancer. Right. You know what I'm saying? But I'm a Leo. I'm the Leo of Leos in the family. And my moon's in Cancer. So for some reason, the moon is the emotional side, right?
Yes. That
so
means
we're going to be really
to your emotions.
We're going to get tapped into a lot of things today. So let's go into your childhood, sis. How was that? Okay, being raised in a Samoan family. Let's start from there.
Okay. So it's definitely hard, especially being the youngest.
You said hard right away. You said definitely hard. It wasn't beautiful. Nothing like. So what would you say made it really hard for you growing up as a Samoan?
I think I kind of, in a way, I become part of like the background and didn't really have like a voice. So I want to say like I was invisible most of the time because when I would try to speak or I would try to say something, it was like, nope. Shut your mouth. You're too young. You don't know what you're talking about. And I know that as a family, like we just didn't really know.
Yeah.
We didn't know how to go about things, especially at a young age. We all were still young. Like
Yeah.
I was like I want to say 9 around the time when we had like our first meeting as a family.
You kind of remember
I
that?
kind of remember that only because I remember dad coming in for a little bit and
Yeah.
then he left. And
Yeah.
so that's what I remember. It was like around 9 that I seen that, I try to, mom literally pulled me aside and asked me like if I wanted dad in our life.
Gotcha.
And I said yes because, I was young. I didn't understand what was going on. I
Right.
didn't know the situation with mom and dad, why we left in the first place.
Wow.
So it was really hard for me to not want my dad in the picture,
Yeah.
because I didn't fully understand.
Mm-hmm.
And so when everybody said no, I was upset with everyone.
Dang.
I was really feeling like, why you guys taking my dad from me?
Let's backtrack on that one.
Okay.
So real quick, so we grew up before we got Andre in there was 9 of us.
Yeah.
But then 8 of us were raised with mom because one of us was given off to our grandma
Right.
on our mom's side to help our grandma when she was a little baby.
Mm-hmm.
So and that's Alofa, the oldest of the girls.
Yes.
Which is the third in line.
Mm-hmm.
And you were the 9, I'm number 6, right?
Yeah.
And when I was 4 years old is when my mom and our dad divorced.
Mm-hmm.
So she ended up leaving our dad when we were in California and moved all the way to Alaska
Mm-hmm.
because she just wanted to get away from that monster
Yeah.
at the time, right? And so mom and dad was flying up to Alaska trying to work things out.
Yeah.
And because, we were all aware at the time of what's going on, mom
Right.
and dad gave us the confidence to make decisions, right?
Yeah.
About what we wanted. And so mom and dad definitely, that was a pressure on us because
Yeah.
first of all, for the young four, us that were young, for me down, we didn't really have memories of dad,
Yeah.
growing up. So we didn't really have that comfort in knowing who this man was. We just knew, hey, we left someone who hurt our mom.
Right.
And now we have to revisit this man and know him from scratch. It was kind of hard for us to have that connection.
Yeah. But they also not hid, they didn't really let us know the heaviness of the situation. Like
Right.
they didn't tell us obviously it was domestic violence.
Yes, it was domestic
and how
violence.
bad it was.
And how, yeah, it was really bad.
It was really bad.
It was super bad. I mean, mom,
She
went through a lot.
literally could have died in most of the cases, and we
Yes.
didn't know. So, we're just thinking, we want our dad in
Yeah.
our life.
And that was the difference between us younger ones and the older ones. It was a dynamic change because the older ones got to see that monster.
Right.
We didn't get to see that monster. We got to
Yeah.
see I want to be part of your guys' lives.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And for us, it was like, man, it's too late. You know what I mean? It's too late at this point. And so it was hard for us to get a connection. That's why we had to know. But you were like really into the yes, huh?
Yes.
You really wanted dad around.
Yeah.
Why did you feel like it was important at that time where you were at to say, I want my dad around?
Well, without telling my mom's business.
No.
That's the thing.
Right. Mom was just trying to find love, all right?
Mom was out there trying to find love, and we do not blame her
Right.
because she also was young. And,
Mhm.
she gave most of her life away.
Yes.
As a parent, that's what you choose to do
Yep.
when you produce a family.
Mom was 18 when she had her firstborn TJ.
Yes.
And
so
it
she
never
didn't really
stopped
get
until you.
Right. She didn't really get to live her life until
Yes.
we moved to Alaska. And so, she was still trying to find love. And some of those cases, I really wish, we had.
We didn't see it.
Yeah, we had dad.
Yeah.
And so that's all I'm gonna say on that.
Yeah. No, I get you.
But yeah.
And so you wanted that protection, that feeling of the.
Yes.
All right. Well, what's crazy is you had that in a sense, but we saw it through mom,
Right.
But we didn't get that same protection that mom had for you.
Right.
And
Because I was her pele.
right. And to us in the Samoan culture, being pele is big time because being pele is like you're the favorite, right?
Mhm.
You could be the firstborn or
Yeah,
the lastborn. And it usually is firstborn of whatever. You could be
Right.
the firstborn girl, firstborn boy, or the lastborn girl or lastborn boy. But usually with the lastborn, if it's a girl,
Yeah.
it's usually the pele of like where people like make sure that we protect her. Yeah. And so growing up, mom's way of doing that was spoiling you.
Right.
And giving you a little extra or like making sure that we all had to help you out and things
Right.
like that. So it was in a sense of us like, man, we always have to help Mefi out.
Yeah.
So, at the end of the day, we don't want to hear you because we have to deal with you,
Right.
And so we took that sense of voice from you because we're like, oh, you're the last person we need to hear from.
Right.
I got to hear from this brother, this sister, this brother, and then this brother needs to hear from me and this sister, and then it's you, you know?
Yeah,
And
that's
that's
true.
how was that like growing up and trying to find ways of making us hear you?
It definitely was a struggle. I mean, it bled into my adult life. That's why, like, when we get into the conversations, you guys will understand, like, why my growth was so important for me now.
Hmm.
But that's why I'm saying, like, back then, obviously, I felt some type of way towards the siblings just because I'm mom made me her belly, but I didn't know. I didn't choose to be her belly.
Right.
I didn't choose to be that young sibling that was protected. She just did that. And
Hmm.
it's been like that for years since we grew up. And I even remember me and Celeste.
Right.
We would go at it. We never really saw eye to eye. She wouldn't even be affectionate at times. And
Really.
she's the sister that's a year older than me.
Right.
And
Y'all were road dogs. Y'all were like,
yeah,
twins pretty much. We
literally.
almost, people kept asking, are y'all twins?
Right. And
Right.
I'm like, how?
It's
I don't
like,
see it.
it's like the dark and the lights.
Right.
I was like, all right, guys, we see it. I don't know y'all see it.
Yeah, so it was really hard for me and her to even have a bond. Like I wanted that relationship with Celeste
Yeah.
so bad, but she always pulled away because I didn't really understand. But because obviously she looked at me like, no, mom always favored you. You always got what you wanted.
Man.
Even it was so bad. It was almost crippling for me as a kid. That's why I say it's bad because mom didn't understand, but because she favored me so much, she would keep me home from school. And so my,
Wow.
when I would try to
What?
grasp onto things, yeah, it was she would let me stay home because I would beg to stay home.
Dang.
So mom, like she felt bad for me, so she'd be like, it's okay, we'll let you stay home today. And then if went into a couple more days and I was missing school a lot. So
Dang.
I know mom just she just wanted, to do what was, I guess, what she couldn't do for everybody else at the
Yeah.
time. And she just saw, this is my last one. I got to try to do what's right with this one.
Right. And also kind of low key though, you out of all the sisters kind of look like mom the most.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The fair
Yeah.
skin. And so I think a part of that is that she saw a lot of her in you, you know?
Yes. And it's crazy because you can still see it to this day.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's not your fault. That's the gamble of life.
yeah.
That's your paradise when it comes to where you were even born in.
Yeah.
And being the last of us, you didn't ask for that, but we treated you in that way because we didn't ask for it either. We didn't ask to be
Yeah.
treated less.
That's true.
But at the end of the day, that's kind of where you started like realizing you're not you don't have the confidence with your voice, right?
Yes.
So you're getting friends. How was making friends throughout school and things like that?
It was really hard because we moved so much.
Hmm.
But I do want to touch on mom real quick. One thing I do love about her is that she just, I'm looking at it from now as being a parent.
Hmm.
When I was being a single mom to Hercules,
Yeah.
it was really hard for me. And that was with one kid. So
Wow.
that's why I give mom so much grace. And I look at her and I'm like, this is a superwoman.
Right.
Regardless of any flaws that she has, she tried the best that she could as a mother.
Yeah.
I don't know how she could spread herself as much as she did with 9 kids, now taking on another kid that's, 10 all together. And it's like, I don't know how she could do it.
Nah.
And that's why I give her so much grace and I hold her up to this standard regardless,
Yeah.
whether I'm feeling some type of way towards mom or anything. I know she did her best with us.
Right.
And she only did what she could at the time.
Right.
So that's why I'm like, I love her and I look up to her still.
Yeah.
And shout out to you, mom. I love
Yeah.
you.
Shout out to you,
For real.
mom. Yeah, for real. I have one girl and I feel like I'm losing it. And I'm over here like,
Right.
dang, mom had 8 more. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I'm like, hey, you
it's
can't go
crazy.
through it, huh?
Yeah.
But you know what? That's why mom is the beast.
Yes.
But going into like, uh for getting raised by mom and being spoiled and seeing how mom was growing up,
Yeah.
who did you really look to? Was it mom? Was it which one of the siblings? I'm here, so you don't have to be biased,
Yeah.
but which one of the siblings you really look up to as like that leadership role or that protective role?
So it definitely was Lome.
Mm-hmm.
She is the 4th oldest.
Yeah, she's the
Yeah,
fourth.
she's the 4th
She's
oldest.
after Alofa, so when Alofa wasn't around because of where she was at with grandma, Lome
Lome,
stepped up as the next in charge,
exactly.
as far as a woman.
Because TJ definitely he stepped up and he was a father figure for us.
Very
He's the
much.
oldest
Yeah.
out of all of us. But when his situation happened,
Yeah.
um, which is I know you'll get into that
Yeah.
another episode,
Right.
right? But when he had gotten removed out of our life at the time,
Yeah.
Lome stepped up, and
Yes.
she didn't have to. There was a couple more other siblings that definitely did their part as well, and they tried their best with us too.
Yeah.
But Lome, she stepped in at the time that we really needed her, and it's crazy because she was 18 at the time too.
Yeah.
And her husband Getty, who I love so much, and that's why I always call him my brother. I never call him my brother-in-law. That's my brother through and through. Because
on both sides now.
right. Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah, but go ahead.
My husband is first cousins with him.
Yeah.
But yeah, growing up, I always looked up to Lome. Wherever she went, you could see me with her.
Yeah.
Like I was literally like her tail. I even used to cry and beg, like when she would go to her family stuff with Getty. I'd be like, just take me, please.
Right.
Like, I'll listen, I swear. And so, I really loved being with Lome. It was just, she had that mother nurturing, like, aspect to her that I really gravitated towards.
Yeah.
She's part of the reason why, like, I even am the person that I am today. And I say this because had I have not followed her, I don't think I would be sitting here today. I don't think I would have the lifestyle that I had growing up, of just being able to be a kid. I was able to be a kid when I was around her, and that was huge for me.
That's big.
Also just, the way Lome hustled, like just looking at her, I was like, man, one day I want to be like that for sure. So she's always been that inspiration to me, and still to this day with her, even with her company, I'm like, okay, girl, you've been doing this for years, literally for free. And that's one of the things that people say, when you do something for free, you turn it into a hobby, you can make, you can make a lifestyle out of it.
True.
So I love that for her. And I'm so grateful that, she was that person for me at the time that I needed.
And it's crazy because, we say she's like a second mom.
Yes.
And she's actually named after mom.
Right.
Which is cool. But long story short is like, we're not that far apart in age.
Yeah.
She's 30. I'm 33. I'm my age.
You do the math.
Jesus, you're right here. And she's 35. She's 2 years older than me. And I look at her in that light too, because, having one mom, single mom growing up, it's kind of like we had to raise ourselves as siblings, That's where TJ took on that role. And, in the Polynesian community, Polynesian families, the hierarchy of age matters in our culture, because it's like the responsibilities lay out from when you were born.
Right. Well, also mom was out there working 3 jobs, you know, and so somebody had to help.
And then on her off time, she was doing bingo.
Right.
So it was like, if she's not making money through work, she's making money through bingo.
Right.
Or she's finding ways karaoke to like get her stress out of her. We saw mom in a lot of ways that was like, mom's a go-getter.
She is.
And I think Lome found that in her too, know, and her bubbly personality, mom's, But going to Lome, man, so, she was, like, again, she's not that much older than us, And for you to see her in that way, as far as like when she was 18, how old were you when you were like really living with her and having that time?
I was 12. I was either 12 or 13 around the time.
Yeah, and that's right there. That's the soft spot of where a girl is becoming a woman. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so that's very important for you. So seeing that kind of transitioning into your high school years, did you get into sport? I mean, at the end of the day, we all know you were the tallest out of the girls. The youngest, but the tallest, You're standing at what?
5'9".
5'9"?
5'9".
Are you sure? All right, because we be looking at eyes sometimes. And when it comes to your shoes, your feet.
Them grippers.
Yeah, you got the tall, you're the tallest.
Oh, man.
So. But did you get into sports? What happened with sports?
So, man, it's crazy because freshman year, I tried out a couple sports, right? I did shot put for a little bit. And then I also did discus with Coach Tuliao.
Yeah.
Shout out to him. He passed away a couple years ago.
Shout out to Coach Tuliao.
And
at Long Beach Poly, right?
yes, at Long Beach Poly. And then I also tried out for softball. I tried out for softball. Didn't work out. And then volleyball. Volleyball was one of them. That was the one that I really wanted to stick to. But man, I couldn't do it because of our circumstances with money and stuff.
Mhm.
Even though they have fundraisers and stuff like that,
Right.
it was trying to get to and from those places that it was really hard.
Yeah.
And I also wasn't trying to take it too serious.
And at this point, we were all like pretty much scattered everywhere.
Yes.
Like mom was in Samoa,
Mm-hmm.
and she left us with dad. So
Right.
long story short, we transitioned from Alaska back down to California
Yeah.
during the high school years
Mm-hmm.
because my mom had to go. Mom had to go to Samoa to help
Right.
grandma, and so she ended up leaving us with dad or
Mm-hmm.
trying to leave us with dad. But
We did
all of us
not.
were like, "Nah, we out of
Right.
here." In fact, at 15, 16, I was emancipated. I don't know if you know what that is. It's where you kind of
Where
get your freedom,
your
yeah, you
rights.
get your rights and things like that, and you're like pretty much make decisions for yourself as a
Dang, I
child.
didn't know that.
Hmm.
I'm just finding that out
Yeah,
because I was wondering why you ended up leaving from
yeah,
dad's house.
yeah. I was gone
Dang.
because he gave me my first crew cut, and I grew my hair out after that. That's exactly why I grew my hair. I was like, I don't want to be anything like you, bro.
Yeah.
And so like, because all of those years growing up, we just heard he was a monster to mom,
Yeah.
So I'm like, you ain't about to be no monster to me.
Right.
So that's why we ended up scattering around the high school
So you
years.
left me.
Yeah.
So you left me with the monster man. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes.
No, but you know what though? I'm really glad that I stayed because I really I used to call mom from someone. I would be crying on the phone. And I would be like, take me, please. Like I don't want to be here. But it's just
Oof.
because I love mom. I was
Yeah.
literally stuck to her too. So then when we were staying with dad, it wasn't until I really started like trying to get to know, like opening myself up to dad to like
Yeah.
let him be a father to me
Yeah.
instead of looking at him like he's just some stranger on the street.
Mm.
Even though
Mm.
that's what it felt like.
Right.
It very much felt like we did not know this person. Mom was leaving us with some stranger. And it
Right.
was like, do you not care about me?
Right. And then it
My
was us
well-being.
like, first of all, let's start this off. We're not going from scratch where I'm your son and you're my dad.
Right.
But he felt like that right away. He was like,
Right.
my responsibilities, I'm your dad. I
Mhm.
have that title. You're my son. So you
Yeah.
guys gotta listen to me.
We also had
And
that
we're like,
like,
no, we
where were
don't.
right? Where were you? I know TJ as my dad.
Right.
I don't know you
I
as
don't
my
know you
dad.
as
Yeah,
it was
so
like a lot of
it
that.
was really hard to wrap our head around at the time.
And that's where you were kind of like we're finding yourself, and then
Yeah.
you got to live with Lome for a little bit.
Yes. And I also got to see dad in a different light too.
Mm.
Like I did see his soft spot. I did see, the reasons why mom did fall in love with him.
Yeah.
And I got to see that part and I was like, okay, I see the vibes,
Yeah. Well, shoot, she better have some reasons. She had 9 of us.
Okay.
I'm like, first of all, if you don't have a reason by the first, second, and third, why you having fifth, sixth, and seventh?
Right. All the way to 9.
Right. Let's go from there.
Right.
So I don't know what happened along the lines, but
Man.
it that's where I kind of like saw all of us kind of like, this is where we're like, cross our fingers, we all make it out,
Yeah.
because everybody kind of we lost touch with each other during high
Right.
school,
Right.
And my thing was, me and Wilson, we were like, we're fighting whether it be scholars or be gangbangers.
Mm.
And for me, being the older brother, I always wanted to have the ego of having the upper hand. So,
Right.
in gangbanging, there's only 2 ways you're going to go.
Right.
Dead or in
Or
jail.
in jail. That's
And
true.
so for me, I'm like, I don't want those routes. I'm trying to
Yeah.
eat for the family. So I ended up really going hard on football. And like you said,
Yeah.
when you're in a sport, you really got to go focus,
Right.
go
You
hard
gotta
on
be
it.
disciplined. You gotta
Mhm.
be consistent.
Got to have kind of a certain environment built around it. And
Right.
you knew at the time, like when you were
I
bouncing
wasn't
around,
prepared for that.
you ain't even prepared for that, right?
Mhm.
Which is good because you know your commitment levels,
Yeah.
That's also important.
Yeah.
But my commitment level was to football because I wanted to get us
Yes.
out. And during that time is when I
Mr.
kind of like,
Superman.
right. And I would always see you guys showing up to the games, but then
Yes.
when we would reconnect as siblings, and I would be like, okay, sis, what's going on? How you
Right.
doing? It was like
Like,
180 change.
Mhm.
Like you was already an adult by then.
yeah.
Because that's when you start really growing. And I'm like, first of all, I lost my virginity at 18.
Right.
You're already going through these things?
Right.
I was sorry. I got emotional.
I was a cheeky little chit.
Hey, you had to learn the streets.
Right. I was learning the streets, being a part of the streets.
Right. And my ass was out there just trying to, and that's the thing about being too focused and not having time
Yeah.
for family is when you become too focused in something and you don't have time for family.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you're doing it for family.
Mm-hmm.
You're out of touch already.
Yeah.
You're not in the moment with these
Mhm.
things, And so I wasn't in the moment with you guys. And then seeing where you were at, finding your way through love.
Yeah.
When did you start dating? When did you start getting into that position?
Man, so I met Hercules' dad through Alofa because he's cousins.
And
That's
Hercules is
crazy. Yeah,
yeah,
it's the
Hercules is 11 years old. So you have
yes,
3 kids. You
yes.
got Hercules, you got baby
Kane,
Kane, and you
baby
got baby
Nate,
Nate.
and
And
one on the way.
okay, that's what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah,
All
I'm not
right.
just sitting over here looking fat.
So,
No, I'm just kidding.
lately in your videos, you've been doing very health conscious videos,
Yes.
hiking, promoting being outside the house, right? As
Mhm.
a stay at home mom,
Right.
right? And so you've been very on your fit, girl.
Man, I've been trying.
And we'll get
That's
into
all I'm
the
that's all
health
I'm trying to say. I'm
the
just
health
trying.
transitions.
Yeah.
But seeing you having a belly right now, it's not because you ate, it's
Right.
because you expecting. So how long are you?
So I'm supposed to be 2 months. I know it's crazy. I look like I'm 5, but I'm 2 months. This always happens. My stomach
Oh yeah.
gets bloated. It's a
Come
natural
on.
thing.
Natural.
You get bloated, and then it's hard for you to,
Yeah.
put it back.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, this fourth one.
Yeah.
All
So it would have
right.
been 5, but I had a miscarriage
Mm,
before I had
yes.
baby Nate.
I'll get into that.
Yeah.
Well, we're reversing now back to number
Right.
one,
hmm
Hercules.
Yes. So Hercules, I met his dad around my freshman year.
Mhm,
When I knew him, he was just a beach boy. Then we were on and off because he lived in Corona,
mhm,
and then obviously things started getting serious around like my sophomore year.
yeah.
And I'm not really gonna go too much into detail about what happened between us, but it just was overall not really a good relationship.
Yeah.
And I also don't want to speak a light about Hercules' dad
Yeah.
when he's probably trying to
Yeah.
unlearn some things that we went through as a couple at the time. So
Yeah.
I don't want to speak ill about people.
Good.
Um, but
That's big.
with my experience with him,
Mhm,
I always victimized myself, and I'm
mm,
able to look at that now because I'm healing.
mm,
Before I thought I was very much right in how I felt towards him and how I seen him.
mhm.
Um, but looking back now, when you're healing, you don't realize it, but you're gonna have to go back and try to
Right.
heal that person, from years ago,
Right.
in order for you to be able to come to the person that you want to be.
Right.
And so that's what I had to do. I had to go back and I had to, look at some of the things in my relationships
Right.
before to see how I was showing up in those
Mhm.
relationships. And now I can see where I lacked. And, I don't place the blame just on him.
Yeah.
I'm able to look at some of the situations and be like, you know what, when we were having some of our disagreements, I didn't want to back down.
Right.
And I was, shooting the gun as well.
Yeah.
And I would get to the point where I would shoot it so good that once he would get all riled up, it was like, oh no, no, no. Now I'm gonna start
Mm.
victimizing myself.
Wow. Yeah.
Now I'm gonna be like, oh no, no. I need to make myself look good and make sure that I'm not over here being blamed for anything.
Right.
Cause it's like, at the end of the day, he's in charge of his own emotion
Right.
and his actions. So when it would get to that place, it was really hard for me to not see it that way. But now
Yeah.
I'm looking at it and I'm like, you were definitely at fault for a lot of the ways that you showed up in that
Right.
relationship.
Right.
And so, I'm just grateful that being in the relationship that I'm in now,
Yeah.
this person has the tools. My husband has the tools to help me through that. I think at the
Mm.
time, because we're not too far, from age.
Yeah.
So we're both learning from each other.
Yes.
And at that point, none of us was trying to be a student. We was both trying to teach each other.
Right.
And so that's why I'm looking at it now, and I'm grateful that I removed myself out of that situation, because even him in his relationship now that he's co-parenting with me,
Yeah.
I love his wife.
Mm.
I love his family.
That's dope.
And I don't think we would ever get to that point unless we were removed from each other, because
Yeah.
we were picking at each other.
Ooh.
We were picking at each other. We were getting at all the
Mm.
wrong things. We didn't want to see a solution. We always saw the problems.
Yeah.
So that's why
Mm.
I'm grateful that I was able to be removed out of that situation. It just sucks because my husband, I leaned to him to fix me, and it
Mm.
wasn't his issue. It was
Ooh.
mine. And so that was something that I had to sit down
Yeah.
and I had to be really hard on myself and look at the mirror.
That's big.
Yeah, so it
Well,
was really
see, that's the
hard.
thing. Well, and part of that struggle in finding love at a young age is you kind of don't even know who you are at the
Right,
time, right?
right.
You talking about finding that voice and gaining that confidence over the
Mhm.
years, but through your childhood, we didn't really build that environment for you to cultivate those confident attributes as far as your
Yeah.
voice.
But
And
that's
it's
why I say I don't blame you guys though,
yeah,
because it was something I had to learn on my own.
yeah,
I also can't I learning now, I can't place blame anywhere, but
right.
take accountability for my own actions,
That's an
how I
adult.
showed up as
Hmm.
in my own situations. Because I could sit here and nitpick and
Yeah.
tell you guys how much you guys did this and this to me,
Right.
but what's that gonna fix for me
Mm.
personally?
Right.
And that's why like I had to look at myself and I was like, you know what? Are you gonna do the work? Or are you gonna keep sitting here and
Right.
blaming other people for what's going on with you?
Mm.
So that's why I had to hone in on my own thought process and work on
Yeah.
my own subconscious and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Cause it's huge.
It is, and I think part of it is, as you're growing and you're finding yourself, part of it is having to find yourself through your relationships,
Yes.
at a certain point, because, parents do all they can, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they don't know what all they can looks like
Right.
until they see it in relationship form. And for me, as an older brother, I looked at it from the outside in when you were first started dating, and I'm like, all right, who's this? Who's this person right here? You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Who's this guy? All
Yeah.
right, he's in the gang. Oh, he banging with Wilson. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I'm like, oh man, it's one of those things where like, dang, I'm already having negative thoughts about people
Yeah.
that are around my sisters.
That's
And
true.
that's just me as an older brother. And I feel like when it came to you finding love and me having to, it wasn't as what I thought how an older brother should meet his younger
Yeah.
sister's significant
Boyfriend
other.
or yeah.
It was always like that. I had this perfect way of looking at how you
Hmm.
guys should be introducing your significant others, right? And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, this is my boyfriend. I'm like, I'm just meeting him for the
Right.
first time.
No
It's like, oh,
real
this is Sunny. This is
introduction.
a friend
Yeah.
of mine. I'm talking to him right now.
Right.
It wasn't like that. It was more like, all right, we in this relationship, and this is him.
Right.
And I'm like, all right, Ellie, I
Yeah.
was it,
So
her
then it
older
becomes
brother,
awkward. Yeah.
and it's like me having to find who he is and look through that light of like,
Yeah.
how you taking care of my sister, bro?
Right.
Why? Because I don't even know who my sister is and who
Right.
who she loves. So who are you to me?
Yeah.
Because she's young still. And then right right after that meeting him, bam, you're pregnant
Yeah.
at 18. I'm like,
Hmm.
whoa. So it's like I don't know who my sister is yet because I don't know, we're going through it.
Yeah.
I want to know who she is, but I don't want to know this part of her.
Yeah. You
That
didn't want
was
to
where
accept it.
I
Yeah.
didn't want to accept it.
Right.
I was like, because I didn't do my part as an older brother because I barely even know this dude, and she's creating a bloodline legacy with this
Yeah.
person, and I will always have to find a way to respect this person and connect with this person because this is someone that's
Yeah.
part of
They're
our
gonna be
family.
stuck in the family.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Regardless if it works out or not.
so it was like, dang, bro. I was like, man, that was for me as a older brother. I was like, my heart was like, come on,
Yeah.
sis. And so, like, during that time, how were you feeling with the family? Where were you at with the family at that time? Were you like, when it came to like
Man,
telling everybody, I'm gonna be pregnant, bro?
that's really hard because it it was a really hard time for me because dad, man, he disowned me around that time and
Damn,
it's really hard to talk about because
got it, sis.
um you know, I didn't have nowhere to go. We were staying in the garage at the time.
Yeah,
And for me, I was like, you know what, I gotta suck it up. I can't make this dad's problem. This is my decision. So I had to take it and take my pregnancy and go and stay with him and his family. Didn't know them. Um, for those who don't know, the mom is deaf, so obviously there's a barrier there
yeah,
with the language, and so it was really hard to like connect.
yeah,
Um, I also don't want to speak ill on the family because I
yeah,
don't I don't know their circumstances as far as like how they grew up and how their family was operating.
yeah.
Um, but I feel like they tried the best that they could
Right,
with welcome me in the house and into their family. Also me being well, Hercules' dad is the oldest out of the siblings, so that's a different kind of situation that I also don't understand.
right,
And so I didn't realize like there's a standard for him as an
mm,
older brother.
right,
I just felt like, we're just young and we're just trying to,
yeah,
we're trying to raise a kid, we're trying to raise a family.
hmm
And so with that situation, I almost I didn't realize it until it was happening, but I felt like I was mom in that situation
Mm.
because we've been through our personal problems,
Yeah.
and I stuck it out because of the fact that I didn't want to end up like mom and dad.
Wow.
I didn't want to be in a broken home. I told myself, if I'm having this kid, this is it,
Yeah.
I didn't want to have to raise him by myself.
Right.
So that's why I stuck through a lot of the situations that we had went through.
Yeah.
And then that happening for 5 years, I got to the point where I was just like, I didn't find my voice. I feel like I found my stance within that relationship, that I
Mm.
didn't have to deal with it.
Wow.
And that, there are better options. And what's crazy is Lome and Kethy were the ones that gave me that better
Mm.
option. They were the ones that were like the light that helped me out of that situation.
Yeah.
They literally paid for, I think it was Lome or Lucky that paid for my fare for me to move to Alaska and leave that situation so that I can try to raise Hercules on my own. They were the
Wow.
ones that gave me the strength to be like, you know
Literally
what,
like
you can
mom.
do this. You can raise this kid. They're like, you do not have to deal with this situation. You're better than this, Mefi. You know that. And I was like, man,
Aw.
I stuck it out because I didn't want to have to go through mending things with dad at the time, and
Yeah.
also having to have my kid be raised in a garage.
Mm.
But then, what's crazy is when I would get into arguments with that person, I was like, you know what? I would rather stay in a garage with people who love me than to be in a house with people who do not care about me at all.
Ooh.
And that was the big part of a lot of my conversations with that person, because I was
Mm.
like, there's got to be more to this.
Yeah.
And we weren't helping each other out at the time. So that's why I was like, you know what? When Lucky gave me that, I think it was Lucky,
Yeah.
gave me that opportunity, like, I'm going to pay for your flight. You're going to come and stay with me. I left.
Aw.
I took all my stuff and I left with Hercules.
Yeah.
We stayed out there for a while. And then I finally had came back out here to Cali. And that's when I met Dewey.
Yeah.
2015, the
Mhm.
year that Issa passed.
Okay, let's go into that. So, yeah, so that was a lot of roller
Yeah,
coaster of
sorry.
emotions that was happening, right? And I love when you say this. I didn't find my voice. I just found my boundary.
Yes.
Ooh, because you have to go through a lot, and you don't know how much you're willing to go through with
Right.
somebody until you actually go
Go
through
through it. That's true.
it. And you don't know where the line is drawn until you're like, I don't want that to happen ever again.
Yeah.
And having Hercules around, that's the yin and yang of having a kid early
Yeah.
is kind of like, we call
A
it
kid raising a kid.
child raising
Yeah.
child. And they'll see a lot of forms of you, right?
Yes.
Just like we did with mom.
And I do want to touch on that real quick because it didn't come apparent to me that I wasn't really being the parent that I should have been until I was staying with Lome and them.
Okay.
Because for me, I was like, I just get up and go with baby, and I'm like, okay, this is what we're doing. We're gonna go to the store. Don't pack
Okay.
no bag. Don't get no extra clothes just in case he spits up and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I did not pack nothing. I always just got up and left. And then all of a sudden, when he had an accident, then I'm like, I forgot the bag. That's how I
Mm.
was. I was like very
You was learning on the
forgetful.
go, huh?
Yes, I literally was learning as I go. Like, girl, you do not care about just yourself. You gotta
Right.
care for this little human being.
Right.
And you can't be out here making them look crazy. So I was always making sure I was all put together. And then I'm like looking at my son, I'm like, you good. We
Oh,
gonna
yeah,
take it. Let's go.
yeah.
And it's
You
like,
do, kid.
girl, get yourself together. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's really hard. That's why when it comes to Hercules, man, he the way he was raised,
Yeah.
it really took a village before Dewey came in the picture.
Yep.
So Getty and Lome were my village at the time, because you had
Yes.
your own family,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
had your own thing. Celeste had her own thing.
Yeah.
Everybody had their own thing.
We have our
so-
go-tos.
Yes, so Lucky, Lome, and Getty, they were at that
Yes.
time. They were the ones that were really helping me hone in on this motherhood stuff.
Wow.
And
I kind of want to say right off the bat, when you say that, these two people that you just mentioned right away,
Yeah.
they don't have kids.
yeah,
Lucky and Lome, they don't have kids at all.
mhm.
And that's because they're doing their own things as far as responsibilities. They already have enough
Yes.
responsibilities with the family,
Right.
And so just to hear that these are the two people that you went to for parenting
Yeah.
advice and parenting help,
It's crazy, huh?
it's so dope. It's,
Yeah, I really love them.
I love
I
them,
really
yeah.
appreciate everything that they did,
Yeah.
because, man, just words can't express how much I was grateful to have them at that time
Yes.
to help me through those hardships,
Mhm.
that even like finding my voice of girl, you can do this. Like, they were the ones that were like rooting me on. And I'm like, man, are you sure? Like, I was just very fragile, very like, no, the world don't love me that much for me to be able to go out there and find love again, and to also be able to be myself and have a kid. Because for me, I'm like, when you have a kid and you have, extra baggage, that's what they call it. People don't want to look towards that because it's a responsibility that they don't want to take on themselves.
Right.
So that's why, like, it was hard for me to see that anybody would want to love me and Hercules, at least in the way that I thought.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, Lome and Lucky, they really did help. And Kethy, sorry.
Yeah, Kethy too.
As I was going through it, Kethy is Hercules' favorite uncle.
Getty's everybody's
hands down
favorite.
Right.
He's crossed every single line across around where it comes to the best brother-in-law.
Yes.
Dude, Getty's so awesome. He's a dad that everybody wishes they had, but no one actually has.
Don't worry about it. It's coming.
Yeah, it's coming, Getty. And so it was dope to see that.
Yeah.
I kind of got emotional when you're talking about that because it's dope to hear that, because maybe it's because of the Bella in you and us having to always protect you and like over the years as older siblings. But when I hear Lome and Lucky who don't have parents, I mean, who are not parents, but have seen mom parent, and them being a voice that possibly they would have been for mom.
Yeah.
Like, you could do this, mom. You got this. And they're doing it with you, and having that cheering support for you. I think that's one of the best things about being part of a big family, is that we have a lot of different energies who have seen our struggles, who have seen us transition into becoming adults and want to see us successful in those areas,
Right.
And so Lome and Lucky are always, and Getty. And Getty's just a partner. When we say Lome, Getty comes along.
Yes.
Partnership right there. That's real partnership.
Yes.
And I love that about them. And so, going into being a single mom, gaining that confidence through your siblings, and really trying to find love again with the baby.
Right.
So how is that? And I love that you say, you looked at Lome and Getty a lot because there's a story going.
Yes. So because of Getty, his first cousin, I ended up meeting him at the job that I was working, which Lome, she had hooked me up with.
We love airports.
Yes.
We like to get them benefits.
Right.
Come on, huh?
But this one had no benefits. It was like all the hard work, no benefits.
Hey, man, Majestic Terminal Services.
Right. You're done.
You're done. You're out of there. We're not working for you no more.
Right. But so at the time, it was called MTS. It's now called Prime Flights.
Put them on.
Right. I'm like, to be transparent.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, so we met there. Yep. He was working mail. I was working build up and stuff. And so long story short, we was just, we was fooling around and like literally like just throwing mail, trying to see who could be the fastest at scanning. And then we ended up just, from one thing to another, we ended up getting together. And it's crazy because even though he's Getty's first cousin, he's one of the cousins I never saw when I was going with Lome to like their functions and stuff. And if I did, it was like he was very to himself, which is still present. Like he's very much to himself to this day.
He ain't changed a lot.
Right. So, it was crazy because when I first met him, I called him another name. He was like, who the hell? I was like, oh, sorry, I thought you were so-and-so. And he's like, nah, don't ever call me that. And I was like, oh, okay. So it was like from there, and it was funny because you know how I slap people and stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Every time I laugh, I'm like, ah! So I'm like hitting, right? And he's always the one that's closest to me. So I'm always like this. I'm like, oh, man. And I'm like laughing. He's like, hit me one more time. Please turn me into a girl for 1 minute. And I started dying. So it was like his humor and stuff. It was just like, just all around. Like when he would go to stores, he would be like, hey, you want something? Like, we weren't even dating or talking like that. He was just like, no, don't worry about it. I'll get it. Like, tell me what you want.
Okay.
And when I would tell him nothing, he literally would come back with snacks.
Something?
Yeah, snacks that he didn't even know that I liked.
Exactly what he doing.
Right. So it was really cool. It was great that like I was able
that you didn't have to worry about eating and stuff.
Right. One thing about me is I'm gonna eat. Okay?
Right.
That's why I had gained the weight that I did. But it was crazy because just how he was as a person. That's what I loved. And so that's why like I had grew more like feelings and stuff, and one thing led to another. We ended up being together. And so yeah, it's crazy because like I said, I always looked at him to fix me.
Yeah.
But he's actually the person he doesn't beat around the bush when it comes to like if he has something that he needs to say.
Right.
So he's not gonna just tell me like, "Oh yeah, you're doing good," or
yeah,
I love what you're doing." No, he's very much like, "No, you could definitely work on this." Yeah, he definitely gonna tell it straight, and that's just how he is with everybody.
Yeah.
And so that's what I loved about him, because throughout the years, that's when I started noticing like little bits and pieces of me where I lacked and where I was weak. And, it was like he really was good about boundaries. He was good about like, minding his own business.
Right.
I was like, oh, oh, so you're not going to tell me the tea. Okay.
Dang.
So he would not, even if somebody would come, like when we're sitting next to each other and they're telling him something.
Yeah.
He is not going to spill the tea. Even if like I was trying to
and
get
that's
it out of
important to you, because let me tell y'all right now. Let me tell you what it's like being a sibling to a Cancer, right?
Don't do me.
This is what it's like being a sibling to a Cancer. This is Mefi. It'd be nobody, nobody at all. Hey, did you hear what happened? Oh. Go ahead, tell me the tea. Tell me the tea. What's going on? Dang. It's like, so you being the person who's very open and transparent about all the business, all the tea. Right. For him to be like very secluded and exclusive about his information. It's like, okay, I need that kind of boundary in my life.
Yes, and balance.
Balance.
Yes, because see, for me, one thing about me is I'm going to tell business, but as long as it's broad and it's out there. If it's something that's personal and you telling me like, keep this to yourself, I'm going to keep it to myself.
Right.
But if it's like something I seen on Instagram and stuff like that, I'm like, girl, did you see? Oh, girl. But
girl,
that's public information.
That's not private. That's public. That's public at that point.
Yeah, so that's why I'm like, let's not get that twisted.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely when it came to personal things though, I was able to keep it to myself. Unless it's my own business, I'm going to tell it.
Right.
Because I always say I'm an open book. I'm an open book.
Right.
But that's one thing that Thui's like, no, you need to relax.
Right.
Because there's some information like how, I'll just give an example. Sometimes when I would come to you guys about our issues that we're going through, I would only tell y'all my side.
Right.
I wouldn't be like, telling his side so it's transparent. No, I'll be like, no, let me tell you how he got me messed up.
Right.
So
that's all we was wanting it. What? Okay, he did this? That's all we need to know. Right. That's enough on that note. What are we doing?
Right. Make moves or
Are we leaving? Are we leaving now? I got the bags.
Yes. Yeah. And see, that was the problem though, is because when I would go to you guys, I wouldn't want y'all to have like make any solutions or make any like movements. Right. I just wanted to vent.
Right.
But then my venting, what I'm not realizing is obviously y'all not y'all gonna be protective over me, and y'all gonna tell me like, no, this is not what you need to be in. Right. This is not the type of relationship. Yeah. You already been through something else that's kind of similar, like in some of the situations. Right. It was like, no, this is very much giving, you need to leave. Yeah. So then, me, that's the problem of me not also having my own voice and feeling the way I did when I was growing up, is at that time, I used to be like, you know what? I need to listen to my family. I need to go and I need to, remove myself from this situation. Right. And that was wrong on my part because I was like, hold on.
You were living for yourself.
Right. You're living for yourself and your own decisions. If you really don't want to remove yourself, you just want to vent about these situations, you need to let people know that ahead of time.
Okay, yeah.
Because then that puts people in a position to be like, no, so we need to remove you.
Right.
Or, do we need to call somebody to come and help y'all? Like, it gets to that.
And I like that you use that as your compass in your relationship.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, that's what we go to. That's a natural, right? Is we fall on family as help to like, hey, girl, you know me more than most of these other girls.
Yes.
Tell me if I'm doing wrong.
That was the thing, is because you guys knew a version of me that Thui didn't know. And so for me, I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm going to listen to my siblings because he doesn't understand the gravity of the situation.
Right.
And they've helped me through situations that Thui doesn't know, So that's why like it was really hard for me to try to make that boundary. And also to tell you guys, like, no, we don't need, I
Right.
don't need to be removed from this situation. You know,
Right.
I wasn't able to make that decision at the time.
Yes.
Now, those are things that I'm unlearning
Yeah.
and that I'm trying to get better in, you know?
That's vice versa with us too, because when we come to shield and arms to protect you,
Yeah.
we're also looking at it from the lens of this has always been our situation. We always have to help
Yeah.
Mefi. We always have to protect her. We always have to
Right.
make sure she's good and she knows we're here for her.
That's true.
And in reality, that takes away from us knowing who you are, like what's your your decision making process, and giving you the confidence to have those the ability to make the decisions in the relationships you want, right?
Yeah.
And so for us, it's like we look at you in that light where like, nah, you're gold, and he's trash, and he needs to know your value. And if he
Yeah.
doesn't see it, then he's not for you at all.
Right.
At all. Like if he doesn't see it and there's already trauma going on,
Yeah.
you need to leave. You're like, that's how we are.
Right. That's how it felt. But yeah.
You can find anybody else, bro. You can
Yeah.
go. Yeah, that's how we were with you. But in reality, you were staying around and finding yourself through these relationships.
Yes.
You were just talking your way through it. You
Right.
know?
Right.
And we were like, nah, you don't need to be putting up with this anymore. And you're
Yeah.
like, no, well, this is just what I'm saying is where I'm at right now
Yeah.
and how I'm going through it,
Yeah, that's true.
And a part of that, I love that because, I always say this, when you let someone in on your relationship and you tell them the ugly,
Yeah.
when you break up with that person,
It's hard.
they have to break up with that person too.
Right.
Because they had to build a relationship that you wanted them to have with that person.
Yeah.
And so when you tell them all this information, when it's time to leave, they have all that information stored with them too.
Right.
So how they choose to leave is like, they can be uglier. Oh yeah, and like they can change up the whole dynamic based on how they feel.
Yeah. You know, the crazy thing is Dewey was the first person, and this is why I say he has the tools, because when we had got into a really big argument one time,
Right.
he was like, look, we're not going to be doing this back and forth thing where you get up and leave and you leave the situation and, and then you come back to me. He's like, it's either you're going to stay in this relationship or you're just going to leave and we could just, we could just go our ways. He's given me those options. Especially when I'm getting ready to pack, because I'm one of those, like, I'm going to pack my stuff. Like, I'm going to get up
Call
out
my
of here.
bluff.
Right.
Call
And
my
it's-
bluff. Yeah.
Yes, and it's like, no, you're going to chase me.
Right.
And then when I started seeing him, like,
Miga.
not
Insider. But go ahead.
I was like, oh, he not chasing me. He really putting in, he's like, he's fed up with the chasing,
Ooh.
Then I was like, okay, hold on. All right. So I had two decisions here. Look like a fool, leave and try to come back or sit here and do the hard work.
Ooh.
And that was one of the decisions that like was really hard for me to sit there and be like, do I really want to?
Right.
And I had to really sit there and do a mental list of like, okay, what is it that he's been given to me? What is it that I'm taking away from him? So then I started seeing that the list was very positive.
Yeah.
It really was. And so I was like,
Ooh. You did a Franklin T.
What's that?
Franklin T is where you do a Benjamin Franklin is like a graph where you do the pros and cons.
Yeah, that's why I should have
And
went
if
to
the
school.
pros- Right, and
That's
if
why
the
I should have
pros
went to
are-
school and listened in school. I was
Hey,
kidding.
you know what? That's why you have siblings that
Yes.
read and do our own things, and we can give you knowledge and share it, right?
But the pros
Franklin
and
T-
cons.
Pros and
Okay.
cons, and if the pros outweigh the cons, and obviously the
Yeah.
benefit lies in that decision.
Yes, that's so true.
And so you were doing that with your life.
Yes.
And then the pros were adding up to like, I'm gonna stick around.
Yeah.
And that's important for me as older brother, because this is where we had to reiterate your relationships. Like, okay, she's out of this toxic relationship. She's a single person. Now she's in another relationship. And now we have to see if this, now he's a co-parenting candidate,
Right.
And so how does he show up for Hercules?
Yeah.
How does he show up for you? How does this make us feel comfortable?
Right.
This is us thinking. This is not
Yes.
even you.
Yeah.
You're just finding yourself, right? And so when we're watching you from afar, the first relationship you were in that was really crazy, I saw it from I have troubles. I need help.
Yeah.
Help me, brother. That was where I came to help.
Right.
That's how I responded.
Right.
With this relationship, it's like, where's Mefi?
Yeah.
Where is she?
Yeah,
Why is
because I
she not
wasn't
around?
coming around as much.
Yeah.
And it's funny because everybody felt like it was Stewie, but it really was me.
Yeah, it was you.
It was me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's because you were finding ways, you're finding comfortability in something that we weren't comfortable with you
Right.
at, because we're comfortable with you coming around.
Mm-hmm.
And when Mephi's not at these events that you should be at, because it's rare that we all get together,
Yeah.
And so when you're not around, it's like, dang, there goes one less person
Yeah.
that we had here. And so we're looking at it not what's keeping Mephi,
Mefi. Yeah.
it's who's keeping Mephi.
Right.
You know, okay, what's going on with this Dewey guy?
Yeah.
And I have always known Dewey as someone who was part of the family, Getty's family, but I didn't know him at all.
Right.
And so me like having that start in our relationship is like, is he Getty's family? But I don't know him after the 7 years we've known Getty,
Yeah.
And it was because he's always busy.
Right.
Dewey and in the Tongan culture, the men are really hard workers.
Yeah,
And in fact, the
providers.
women are like, all of them are spoiled.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. They're all fellas in the Tongan culture. The women are.
Yeah.
And so the men have this complex where they just feel like they're just hard workers. They go to work, they do things that they need to do to provide for the family.
Yeah.
Very sound, very logical men,
Mhm.
right? And so those are the men who have their schedule. They know what they're
Yeah.
on. And you don't have to bother with them.
Right.
That's Dewey.
Mm-hmm.
And so Dewey had a lot of those structural boundaries that you were looking for in a relationship, right?
Yes.
And that's where you were gravitating to him, and that's where you're spending your time.
Yeah.
And for us, it's like, nah, man, my sister's different. I don't
Right.
like it. It's different. I want her around me.
Yeah.
We need Mefi around, and so we don't like Dewey.
Yeah.
And it was that relationship where we had that lens that I had to build it through. And I'm glad that I was able to find what you see in Dewey, because talk about that. Let's talk about starting the relationship with Dewey and then going through that process of like really saying, this is the man. This is the man. This is my man.
My man.
Right. I think I'm down for the Fapus.
Okay. For the pulas. Okay.
Okay.
It was just, everybody, they have their own take on like how to be a stepfather, right? Dewey, he very much was like, I'm in your life, but you don't have to call me dad. You don't have to even look at me in that light. Just look at me like someone that's going to be helping you as a male figure.
Right.
And that's what I really did love about Dewey, is he didn't put that pressure on Hercules to have to try to call him dad and, stuff like that. But he did his part as a father that was, in his life. And so it was just seeing him and his family, how they like welcomed him. And we would go to like movie dates with Hercules and stuff like that. And then obviously when I got pregnant and I really became part of the family, it was like just from the beginning, it just felt like we were part of the family, we didn't have to do too much. So it was really great. I love my mother-in-law because she then took the reins that Lucky and Lome and Getty that were holding of helping me with Hercules and the kids. She took that and she literally showed me like, as a mom, you pack the bag and you pack it this way and you wash the kids every time when they go outside and they come back home. You make sure that the germs aren't on them. You make sure that, they're always clean. And it had nothing to do with, them looking better than other kids. It was for their well-being, and she was just teaching me that, you always think about the kids.
Right.
You look crazy as long as your kids look good.
Yep.
And that's what I love because, I was the other way. I was like, I'm good. He gonna be okay, So I really love that. Like my mother-in-law, she really showed me
different dynamic of motherhood.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she even like when I was having the kids, she would cook food. She would literally clean up my room. When she would see that I was like not able to get up and do things, she would help me. She would even grab the kids.
Yeah.
So she was very involved, very nurturing. And I really do like, it's hard to explain unless you have a mother-in-law that's like that, who loves people as if they're her own, you know? And so that's what it was, what I really loved about his family. It's just the overall like love and experience with them.
Yeah.
It was always intentional, genuine, and it was like close knit.
Yeah.
That's what I could best describe it. And so, and especially my in-laws and like our little family, they're very close knit, very to themselves, don't be in nobody's business and stuff like that. So it was really great to be in that situation at the time because man, I learned so much. I learned how to like mind my own business.
Yeah.
I'm very, like how you said, I'm in the need to knows. With them, I started realizing like, girl, I do not need to know all of this
Right.
because I was one of those people that I would take people's problems and I would make them my own. And that was the hard thing about it, is because then I would be in drama with people that I didn't even know.
Ooh.
I would be
Just
in
stealing
drama
and
with,
sucking energy, bro.
yeah, literally.
Yeah.
And then my husband got to a point where I was trying to be so active because I didn't mention it, but in the relationship that I was in before, I used to be one of those people like, you call me, I'm coming through.
Yeah.
You ain't got to worry about it. I got your back,
Right.
With this relationship, I had to learn like, girl, you get your own back. You don't got to get nobody else's back.
Ooh.
And so he had to humble me sometimes because I would sit there and
Yeah.
I'd be like, girl, what's going on? We pulling up or what? And it wasn't even that deep.
Dang.
And so he was like, look, you want to sit here and you want to get everybody else's back, but what about your back?
Right.
And also he's like, when you leave, who's gonna take care of these kids? Like who? And when you leave, who's gonna take care of Hercules? Because that's technically he's not my biological son, so he could be taken from the system. It's like
Ooh.
huge conversations that we would have to have and sit down, and I would cry and I would be really upset with him. But he would sit there and he would be like, "Look, you need to put your feelings away and you need to listen to what I'm saying because what I'm
Yeah.
trying to tell you is gonna benefit you."
Mm.
And it's crazy because I always tell Lome this, but I see Lome in Thui.
Ooh.
Like the voice of reason,
Yeah.
the person that was able to put me in
Ooh.
check and put me in line a lot
That's
of the
important.
times. So that's why I was like, man, for all the negative stuff that I would give to you guys, I never
Yeah.
really showed the positive sides of
I
Thui,
hear
you
you.
know?
Yeah.
So
And you know what? That's kind of like what was transitioning into that. I think when it comes to Dewey, partially it was just letting you be free in your decision making
yes.
process, right?
Yes.
And that's why we got to see you actually transitioning in your relationship through the motherhood uh, that you were
That I'm in.
posting and
Mhm.
sharing on social media. That's kind of like what we kind of got into, like
Yes.
knowing Mefi's doing some things right. Her and
Yeah.
Dewey are kind of let them go,
Mhm.
let them do that. And that's when we came to see, the big announcement with the wedding.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to get into the wedding real
Okay.
quick, kind of dance around that because there's moments in this wedding where it wasn't gonna happen.
Yeah.
It was almost like you were dancing around with the days, you were dancing around
Yeah.
with if you were gonna do it,
Mhm.
from small, big, and long story short, it happened.
Right.
And it was a lot of drama and things that went on into it, just like any other wedding,
Yeah.
And just seeing how beautiful it was to see everybody play their part.
Yeah.
Having Tongans and Samoans come together is not that easy.
Yeah.
But nowadays it's actually been way better because of how
Mhm.
we're transitioning as far as a culture.
Yeah.
And seeing, I think one thing that I loved about the wedding in particular was the scene about mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think one thing that we forget about us as siblings is we get a lot of our attributes from mom,
Mhm.
whether we like it or not, good or
Yeah.
bad.
That's
Her
true.
heart was very open,
It
and
was.
our slogan in our family is we're open
Open
because
because
we're
we're
broken.
broken, or we're
And
broken because we're open.
yeah, and it's based off of mom's heart.
Yes.
And in your wedding, when mom is walking out with dad in the
Yeah.
introduction, she's not walking out with dad.
She's walking out with Ilonga,
She's walking out with Ilonga, which
our
is our dad
stepmom. Mhm.
is an official stepmom,
Right.
and been with our dad for years, since
Yes.
almost since mom broke up with him.
Right.
And just to see mom come out there with Ilonga and, as holding her hand and then having dad behind her, it just shows everybody that,
The unity. Mhm.
unity, unconditional love. And I kind
Yeah.
of wanted to get into that before, as a little transition, as we kind of winding down on things, trying to
Yeah.
get into your social media life real quick,
Yeah.
but going into that wedding, um, and finishing off with everything that happened, how did you feel about sharing that with the world and how your wedding came out looking
Man,
with everything that happened?
it was amazing,
Yeah.
honestly. We were given 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
We gave people 3
Yeah,
months.
right.
I'm like, we were given, but we gave people 3 months
Yeah.
and everybody just came together.
Yeah.
It was crazy because even when some people were like, I can't, we made it happen.
It turned out beautiful.
It came
DJ
it,
A-Line was holding it
literally,
down.
yes. A-line, the
MCs. Wilson
just
doing a little show, little
audacious
bits.
vibes. They did our decoration and
Audacious
everything.
vibes holding it down.
Evo shots. He did our film.
Yes.
So shout out
And
to
the day
him.
was beautiful too. It was a really nice
Yes.
day.
It was
Everybody came out.
beautiful.
It was nice.
That's why I'm like, man, even from like my bachelorette party all the way to the wedding, it
Yeah.
was just nothing but good vibes and
Mhm.
just The unity, it was crazy, man. I
Yeah.
was like, dang, this really is our wedding, you know?
Yeah.
And my in-laws definitely had a huge part too in helping. So shout out to them. I'm just grateful because, everybody just they came together, like we said.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was
Yeah. It
that
was.
was a great experience.
In fact, you had a lot of people uh, that came and commented on the video that Evo put up, and it was
Yes.
dope. Seeing how he had pretty much showed the whole story of your
Mm-hmm.
wedding, um, and kind of transitioning into your social media journey with the wedding.
Yeah.
Um, Brooke, who was in your line,
Yes.
she actually I kind of mentioned that you were gonna be on the show
Oh
as my
man.
next episode, and she had mentioned because I had said, "What did you want to see? What would people want to see on the
Yeah.
podcast show?" And she was like, "I would want to see that episode about mental health." And when I told her about
Oh.
you, she said, "Oh my gosh!" She wrote. She said, "Yes, I'm gonna tell you this right now. Mefi has helped pull me through a lot of my mental struggles.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, I love
through her
her.
TikToks.
So Brooke is my best friend from
Yeah,
2014. I love her so much.
yeah,
She's from Hawaii. It's crazy because we haven't really been in contact with each other just
yeah,
because the distance and everything. But I'm always rooting for her and
yeah,
just everybody. I'm always trying to spread positivity, and I love Brooke because even with her, she's the same way.
yeah.
She gives off positive vibes and everything. Even when she's going through her darkest moments, it's really great to see that she gives off the same energy.
So what was it? I mean, I love that Brooke has shared that about you because that's how you get a lot of your comments with a lot of
Yeah.
the people that tap in with you. Over
Yeah.
165,000 followers. You have over 6.6 million likes on a lot of your videos. So you've gone viral on a lot of the little things that you shared about
Yeah.
yourself. You know, what comes with the whole w- w- making social media the platform that you wanted to. I like how you say it. Make social media your personal journal.
Yes. So one thing about it is these are just numbers. For me, I just
Yeah.
look at it like it's just numbers. I'm nobody special. I'm just out here doing what I like and I'm posting what I like. And somehow they be going viral, some of them.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm like, I don't think I just think I'm living my life and I'm,
Right.
just filming it. That's just what I see. But I don't think I'm being inspirational.
Mhm.
I don't think that I'm like any better than anybody.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, it's crazy to hear people say stuff like that. And it just warms my heart because I'm like, man, I'm just out here trying to be an inspiration to myself.
Right.
And I'm also trying to remind myself, like, if you're doing this one day and you're sticking to it, girl, do it the next day. And that's why I've been trying to film, every day, daily content and stuff like that now. But before it definitely was for the views. It
Right.
was like to try to get me out of the hood pretty much. And I was
Right.
like, we're gonna make it somehow with these views that was going on and my kids, some of their videos that were going viral. I was like, okay, y'all stand here and I'm gonna start filming y'all and we gonna get this
Yes.
money.
Yes.
But little do y'all know, it's literally penny nickel dime.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not really you're not making money much,
Uh,
you're not making that much money from these things.
right.
So I'm like, that's why I look at it like I'm just an ordinary person.
Mm.
If it was something that I was like over here making money from, I would probably see something in
Yeah.
myself. But I was like, I don't
Yeah.
really, like we say, I don't see myself as an influencer or
Right.
anything like that.
Right.
But yeah, I
You
just
just
feel like I'm living my life.
documenting
Yeah,
your life as you go, right?
right.
Because these are memories that you would like to, look back on.
Yes,
Um. So what kind of put you in a position to be consistent
in that way.
in a way recently?
So I had a bad experience.
Especially with all the negative and the positive
Yes.
comments that go on. Like, how do you stay consistent in that?
Well, I always try to look for the good and positive
Mhm.
comments because the negative ones, they would definitely weigh you down.
Yeah.
You look at one of the comments and there's like 20 million positive ones.
Yeah.
That one comment could definitely make you be like, all right, maybe this ain't for me,
Mm.
And you don't want to get discouraged. You want to just keep at it
Right.
because one thing people do, and they tend to do this a lot, is like they start something, and when they see it not going the way that they want to, they
Mm.
just stop and they
Big.
quit.
Yup.
And that's one of the huge things is you only are a failure if you quit. You're
Ooh.
not a failure if you get back up and you
Talk to
keep
me.
going at it. So
Yes.
that's a huge thing is I'm always trying to, be better than I was the day before.
Yeah.
And That's why I say I'm not a guru. I'm not out here trying to, spit any facts on anything. I just do what I think is best for me,
Yeah.
and I try to, give that off to other people. And if they somehow like learn something from that, then I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
This is what I'm supposed to do. I'm standing in my purpose,
Right.
and so
Ooh.
that's what I'm just trying to do with
Yeah.
my social media now.
Yeah.
And it happened from a negative situation.
Right.
That's the thing is,
When did you feel like the
yeah, I was gonna
transition
say,
from saying I I was doing this for all like people to follow me and things like that and then tap in with me and you were more in touch with your followers,
right.
but you were more out of touch with yourself.
Myself, exactly. So it happened when, I had posted that video of Lizzie,
Hmm.
and it's one of the
Our
most viral.
niece,
Yes.
yeah, who
Um,
her mom passed away, and at the
yes.
funeral is when you started recording her giving a
Right.
speech about her mom.
Yes, because I felt like, man, I was getting so emotional just hearing the way she was talking
Right.
to her mom. And so I just wanted to share it. And maybe, other people either relate to it or they could definitely feel the video.
Exactly. Yes.
And so when I had posted it and I was getting negative
It's what you
comments,
do.
right,
Right.
right. And I was like, when it happened, I was like, first of all, this is my cousin
Right.
and this is my family. So
Yes.
people were saying negative things. And
Hmm.
then when it started to be our family that was actually saying negative things,
Yeah.
that's when I was like, all right,
Yeah.
this is not for me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to start posting just everything that is
Big.
going on in my life. I'm going to
Mhm.
start just posting about me, myself, and my family.
Right.
And, the people that are okay with me posting them.
Yeah.
So then that's when I had transitioned to my own personal awakening that happened.
Yeah.
And I could get into that maybe another time,
Yeah.
but I just want to touch on it. Like when that happened and it was around our wedding,
Hmm.
that's when I was like, okay, I had a shift in how I wanted to show people how I was.
Right.
I wasn't trying to be like everybody else. I didn't want to do the trends. I didn't want to do the dances because one thing I can dance, but I can't dance like these TikTok dances.
Right.
So
Them
then
hips on.
right, they is not doing it. So
Ah.
I was like,
The
we
hips don't lie
do what we
anymore.
can do.
You're telling the truth.
Right. Telling the truth, and they're showing these people that I can't do that.
Right. Right.
So yeah, so then I started going into that, and
Yeah.
then obviously I started sharing my personal journeys because I'm like, as much as I want to be relatable, I'm pretty sure other people out there want to be in
Yes.
touch with people relating to them and their stories. So
Yeah.
then that's when I started doing that, and I actually started seeing that the followers weren't leaving.
Mm.
And I also seen that people were like reaching out to me in DMs and they're like, dude,
Yeah.
I didn't realize like you were going through the same thing. And I was like,
Ooh.
dang, this is crazy. So then I started loving what I was doing
Yes.
because I'm like, man, if I'm really out here and helping people and I don't even know these people and they're coming to me and sharing me their personal journeys.
Right.
And I'm like, dang, that's hard. That's heavy to feel alone in the world, And especially when you're on
Wow.
social media and you're going on it and all you see is all these
Right.
trending stuff, and then all of a sudden you come across somebody that's like,
Authentic.
oh dang,
Yeah.
yeah, they really out here being relatable.
Yes.
That's why I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
I love what I'm doing,
Yeah.
and I can get jiggy with this. Like, I can keep doing this.
Yeah.
This is me.
It was something you love.
Yes. And it's crazy
Uh,
because then when I started shifting that to my Instagram,
Yeah.
then my Instagram started going up too. And I was like, all right, cool. I love where I'm at. I love the mindset and how people, when you start changing your way of thinking and how you are showing up, you'll start seeing people around you that are meant for you, and your life will start showing up too.
Man.
And it's crazy.
I
It's
love
real
that.
crazy because I talk about how when I first started, I was listening to podcasts, right?
Yeah. Podcast.
Yes. Oh, sorry, podcasts.
It's like Chinese.
Yes, I know, sorry.
Podcasts.
Podcasts. I know.
Podcasts.
So
Go
when I
ahead.
started listening to podcasts,
Yeah.
it was Eddie Pinero. Lome got me on some of the
Ooh.
John Maxwell
Yeah.
and all of the
Wayne
billionaire-
Dyers.
Yes. Wayne Dyer.
Wayne Dyer.
Oh, Wayne
Wayne
Dyer.
Dyer.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm a
I
tongue
love
twister.
Wayne Dyer.
But I love him. And I
Yes.
really had gotten into some of his videos, and
Mhm.
oh my gosh,
Yeah.
y'all gotta check him out. He's
Yeah.
really out here spitting facts.
Yeah. Yeah, I listen to
And
him all the time.
him, and then is it John? No,
John C. Maxwell.
no, Ray. Dang, I gotta find the name of it and then
Yeah.
I'll tell you. But
Okay.
man, they be spitting some facts and I love it. Well, at least to me,
Yeah.
to me it'd be resonating. So I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
And then also I listen to affirmations. I even was listening to affirmations with my kids, and they even started being like,
Yeah.
I am courageous. I love myself.
Yeah.
I am beautiful. So it
Come
was
on.
huge when we were having those conversations too.
Yes.
Because now my kids, they advocate for themselves in a way where it's like, hey, did I really tell you?
Come
Did I
on.
really teach you that? Because then I started feeling like, oh
Yeah.
man, now that I'm letting them advocate for themselves, they advocated to me. And
Right.
what can you say? Like what you gonna
Dang.
say to that? Like you need to stop learning.
That's reversing childhood traumas, bro. You
Right.
really stopping a lot of things,
Yes,
girl.
man. And it's crazy because even your daughter,
Yeah.
Elise,
Mhm.
she's the same way.
Yeah.
She advocates for herself, and I love that because it's all because of you.
Hey,
You
man.
as a single father, and honestly, you didn't even choose that life, man. And
Yeah.
that's why it's really hard. Because I know, to bring some transparency, me and my brother, we just unblocked each other. Like we haven't talked to each other
Oh,
for
for
like
real.
4 months,
Yeah.
and we just unblocked each other from
Yup.
social media, and
Tell
it
'em.
was because we had our own little personal disagreement,
Yes.
and also like there was some things that were shared about me, and I'm only gonna speak for myself. At the time I was
Yeah.
very hurt about it.
Yeah.
And I had even cried to Thui about it. And, I was just telling him how like I didn't get to share with him some of the things that I thought you were sharing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he did, but if you know, and it's
Yeah.
it's okay. But at the time I was in my shame with my
Mm.
situation. And I was like, man, please, I hope that this isn't what's being shared. And
Yeah.
so, Thui helped me like get through that. He was like, let's pray about it and
Yeah.
stuff. So that helped me a lot to be like, okay. And he was like, it's okay. You're a different person now. The person that you might be talking about, it's not you anymore. So
Yeah.
don't worry about it. So then I got to a place where I was like, you know what? I forgive my brother and I love him. And at the end of the day, I just wish I was able to share my own story.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm like, if people are out there listening to what you say and they taking that and running with it, that's also them. I
Right.
can't control that.
Right.
So I got to control what I can.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, you know what? I'm not going to let my pride and my ego get in the way of our relationship because I still love you.
Yes.
And I'm proud of what you're doing. I'm
Mhm.
proud of the person that you're becoming regardless. And that's one thing I love about us as a family is we're very open.
Yeah.
Regardless of what it is,
Yeah.
even if we just unblocked each other from Instagram.
Right.
Okay, so let's
Nah.
have you as a friend.
Yeah,
again.
I appreciate that, sis, and I thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that. We're winding down right now, so we'll kind of like
Yes.
get into it with that. But yeah, I just think at the where where we're at as siblings, I love where we're at because at the end of the day, we had a lot of memories that we had as children, and
Mhm.
now that we have children of our own,
Yeah.
we want to have different memories with them
Right.
and relive certain things that we enjoy.
Yeah.
And so a lot of that is us finding ourselves.
Mhm.
And so that's where the disconnect comes from,
Yeah.
where we can come back together and unblock each other is where we
Right.
find we got to get that time back,
Yes.
or make more time, the best out of time. So
Yeah.
I'm grateful that you have that heart to always open up to me and have that unconditional love, and I'm always appreciative of it. Like just like I'm talking right now with you, and I'm just making this interview happen. I'm so
Yeah.
thankful for it. And just on that note, being in social media, having the transition of having a kid and even the new diabetes
Yeah.
transition must have been all those mukbangs, girl.
No, for real.
All those mukbangs.
It really. When I say I like to eat, I like to eat.
Right. And
It's,
I don't know
not
how
the
I don't have. You
bees.
got the beaties, girl.
Not the bees.
Not the type 2s.
Not the type 2s.
Right. And so we've seen, your transition in your health
Yeah.
and in all the different things that you're doing as far as your gratitude
Yes.
hours and stuff like
Mhm.
that on TikTok. So what's some new things that we can look forward to with Mefi, and where can we find you as far as like, tapping in with you in your new journey now?
Man, so I just been taking a break from social media right now just because of my pregnancy, but
Yeah.
I will be starting up again this week. I just
Yeah.
had to readjust myself, and
Yes.
the fatigue, man, being tired is no joke.
Wow.
And so even a person who's healed and well, not healed, I'm not healed. I still have I'm not healed, I'm healing.
Yes.
So I still have a long journey to go. I'm not a finished product yet. So I know that there's so much more of me to bring.
Yes.
I can't really say exactly what I want to bring to my journey, but just to stick around, you know.
Yeah.
Also, right,
Right. You
stay
gonna
tuned.
find out.
Stay tuned. But
Find out.
also, I'm like, one thing I do want to leave for people is like, you know, always be a student in anything it is that you want to go for or anything you want to learn. Don't ever
Yeah.
think that you're too
Mm.
knowledge in something. You know, you could
Yes.
always find something to be better in
Yes.
and to be skilled more in. And so I just want to say, yeah, be a student. And also, you know, I'm one of the things that I'm working on is my subconscious mind.
Right.
And because the subconscious mind, it controls everything else. You
Right.
know, how you show up for things. If you're trying to be disciplined and it's something that you lack in, you want to work on your subconscious mind.
Right.
So that's one of the things that I'm working on. So it's a hard thing because you'll never perfect it. It'll never be something that's
Right.
fully finished until you know you get to where you're going. And
Yeah.
you once you get to that goal, you got to keep going for another goal. You got to keep placing more goals in front of you. Never think that you know everything's finished just by accomplishing it. There's still more success and still more things that you need to learn.
Ooh, I love it. We're gonna end on that. No, I'm super
Yeah.
proud of you, sis. And obviously, that the subconscious you're talking about, it's coming from your new journey in life as far as your spirituality. A lot of these, I didn't know if you guys noticed some of the books she has on here in display. It's not props; these are actually the books that she's reading.
Yes.
Shout out to Dewey, my brother, for always support your partners in the things that they do as far as
Yes.
their whatever passions, whatever journey you guys want to get onto. So I just want to say in this one with thank you, sis, for being part of this episode. I love you. In this episode, we talked about motherhood. We talked about childhood traumas. We talked about finding yourself, finding a
Yes.
voice, and in seeing the paradise that you have as far as your life now and how beautiful it looks. And I'm so
Yeah.
proud of you. And thank you. Thank God. Thank you, Solomon, in the background for
Yes.
holding it
Shout out
down.
to Solomon.
Woo! And shout out Audacious Vibe. Like, again, if you have any events that's coming up, hit them up. All right. Love y'all. Stay blessed.
Cheese.
Peace. Cheese. Yes, sir.
Oh,
Oh,
man.
man.